I never planned on stirring the pot in my family. In fact, I'd have loved nothing more than a peaceful life without any drama. But fate, it seems, had other plans the moment my cousin Cassandra, always the flamboyant one, got engaged. Cassandra and I had a complicated relationship from the start. Growing up, we were friendly enough at family gatherings, but her flair for the dramatic and tendency to seek attention clashed with my desire for simpler interactions. We drifted in our teenage years, spoke occasionally as adults, and maintained a polite, if somewhat strained relationship as we formed our own families. But when Cassandra got engaged to her longtime boyfriend Noah, she reappeared in my life like a shot of adrenaline, sweet words and overtures of closeness coming out of nowhere. They set a wedding date for late spring, choosing an elegant botanical garden outside the city. Cassandra wanted her day to be memorable, though she rarely clarified what that meant beyond expensive centerpieces, a lavish cake, and a horde of bridesmaids all in matching champagne-colored gowns. I was one of the few people in the family with a child old enough to participate in any potential wedding activities. My daughter, Felicity, was 17. While she was never close to Cassandra, she'd been invited to the bridal shower and engaged in a few awkward chats with my cousin over the phone. Felicity had a passion for acrobatics. She'd been doing aerial silks and hoop routines at a local performing arts school since she was 8. It had become a big part of her identity, and I wholeheartedly supported it. She was graceful in the air, swirling through the ribbons high above the ground. Most importantly, it made her feel powerful and free. So, imagine my surprise when Cassandra called me in an uncharacteristically sheepish tone one Sunday afternoon. I remember that call vividly. I was in the kitchen peeling potatoes for dinner, and Felicity was in her room, probably stretching or practicing the choreography for some upcoming recital. I answered with a casual, "Hello," and Cassandra jumped straight to the point. "I need to ask you something special." The phrasing was so unusual for Cassandra that I put down my peeler and gave her my full attention. She went on to explain that she'd heard from Aunt Margaret, my mother, that Felicity was heavily into aerial silks. Cassandra described how she envisioned a short performance during the wedding reception, something to wow the guests and make her wedding stand out from the standard run-of-the-mill party. At first, I hesitated. It was Cassandra's wedding, and I didn't want Felicity to be treated like entertainment at a circus. But Cassandra assured me that she genuinely respected Felicity's talent. She said it would be a dream if Felicity could do a routine, that the wedding was going to be in a large greenhouse with tall ceilings perfect for rigging, and that she'd make sure to give Felicity a designated window of time, complete with a special introduction. My skepticism held me back. I asked question after question. "Are you sure you have permission from the venue? What about safety concerns? Have you run this by your wedding planner?" Cassandra was adamant that it was all approved. She'd spoken with her wedding planner, who had allegedly confirmed they could accommodate an aerial performance if Felicity brought her own rigging and used only the beams that were structurally certified for such an act. I told her I'd think about it, and her reaction was so grateful, so warm, that I second-guessed my distrust. She even offered to give Felicity a small stipend as a thank you. I declined the money on Felicity's behalf. We don't typically charge family, but Cassandra insisted it would cover the cost of transporting the equipment and compensating Felicity's time. That evening, I brought it up to Felicity. She nearly jumped out of her seat with excitement. She was proud of her talent and thought it would be a blast to perform in front of everyone. "Mom, I can do a shorter version of my routine from last semester," she suggested, her eyes wide with anticipation. "It'll be like 4 minutes, but I can add a bit of flair to the transitions." Seeing her face glow with enthusiasm made me feel guilty for hesitating. After all, it was her choice too. If she wanted to do it and Cassandra was all in, why not let my daughter shine? We confirmed everything over the next few weeks. Cassandra and Felicity exchanged messages about the costume, something classy, not too flashy, and the music, which Cassandra approved without a single complaint. She even said, "I love this piece. It's elegant, and it'll fit the wedding's vibe perfectly." Felicity offered to do multiple takes of the routine for video clarity, but Cassandra just repeated how thrilled she was that Felicity would be part of her big day. I admit, a small part of me was touched. Cassandra sounded sincere, and for once, it felt like we were bridging the distance between us with genuine family support. On the day of the wedding, Felicity and I arrived early at the Botanical Garden. The main venue, a towering glass conservatory, was filled with exotic plants and a walkway lined with orchids. Cassandra's wedding planner, a harried woman named Lucia, rushed over to greet us. She pointed out the beam from which Felicity's apparatus could be suspended, a sturdy metal support near the front where the wedding party would eat after the ceremony. My daughter, methodical as always, began quietly checking her rigging, fastening everything with calm precision. She had a friend, also from the performing arts school, who was her spotter. He'd come along to help ensure everything was safe. Cassandra's father, my Uncle Robert, dropped by to check on us, offering supportive words and a thumbs up. No sign of Cassandra herself, but I figured she was busy getting her hair and makeup done. Eventually, the ceremony took place outside in a small rose garden behind the greenhouse. It was standard wedding fare, Cassandra gliding down the aisle in a princess gown, tears from my Aunt Stella, a quiet vow exchange with a gentle breeze rustling the bride's veil. I caught glimpses of Felicity seated at the back, her hands folded. She was wearing a silky turquoise leotard under a modest black robe, prepared to shed the cover-up once it was time to perform. Noah looked genuinely happy, I'll give him that. And Cassandra, for all her theatrics, did appear moved by the moment. We then moved to the conservatory for the reception. Tables were arranged in concentric circles around a dance floor that spanned the center. The towering glass ceiling let in streams of sunlight, which illuminated the pastel floral arrangements. A DJ played soft music as guests took their seats. Cassandra, now with a more relaxed expression, approached Felicity and me, hugging us both. "I'm so thrilled you're here," she whispered. "Get ready. The big moment's coming soon." Felicity's performance was scheduled right after the first dance. I could see her nerves building as the wedding party took the floor. Cassandra and Noah managed a sweet waltz to some soft tune, and guests clapped politely. Then the DJ's voice boomed, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special surprise for you. A performance by the bride's cousin, Felicity, a talented aerial artist." The spotlight swung around, focusing on my daughter. She slipped off her robe, revealing the elegant turquoise costume. The music Cassandra had chosen began, a dreamy instrumental that started softly. Felicity's silk hung from the rafters, shimmering. She took a breath, then ascended gracefully, twisting her body in precise, fluid motions as if she were dancing in midair. My heart swelled with pride. Looking around, I saw jaws drop. I heard applause break out, cameras clicking. Even Cassandra's bridesmaids, who had been chattering among themselves, seemed transfixed by the performance. As the music built, Felicity performed a sudden drop, sliding down the silk at a thrilling speed before catching herself at the last moment. Gasps erupted from the crowd, followed by roaring cheers. Then, in perfect timing with the last crescendo, she wrapped herself in the silk, inverted upside down, and posed like a statue. The music ended, and the audience went wild. I swear, some people even stood up, giving her a small standing ovation. Felicity bowed and smiled, her cheeks flushed with exhilaration. When she climbed down, Cassandra was waiting with open arms. She hugged Felicity in front of everyone, her words enthusiastic. "That was beyond beautiful. Thank you so much." I recall the rest of the reception going smoothly, with people congratulating Cassandra and Noah, dancing, toasting, and snapping photos for social media. Felicity changed into a modest dress and joined the festivities. By the end of the night, we were exhausted but happy, riding a high of pride and relief that everything had gone well. On the way home, Felicity dozed in the passenger seat, smiling in her sleep. I remember thinking, maybe this wedding will be a turning point for my relationship with Cassandra, that we'll remember this day as one that brought our families closer. That dream shattered less than 24 hours later. I awoke the next morning to a barrage of text messages and missed calls. The first I read was from my sister, Dina, who wrote, "Have you seen Cassandra's post? I am so sorry." My stomach dropped. What could Cassandra have posted so soon after the wedding? Bewildered, I checked my social media. There it was, a long, vitriolic rant by the bride herself, tagging me and Felicity by name. It read, in part, "I thought I could count on family to respect that a wedding is about the bride and groom, but my cousin and her daughter turned my special day into a circus. I didn't give them permission to overshadow me. They ruined the elegant vibe I had planned, and everyone was focused on her performance instead of my dress and first dance. I'm disgusted and humiliated. My wedding day was stolen from me by attention seekers who showed no respect. Family is supposed to support, not sabotage." I felt my face growing hot with anger as I read her twisted account. So, apparently, the warm hug after the performance and the earlier claims of approval were a facade? Every line of Cassandra's post stung, especially the vicious insinuation that Felicity had performed uninvited. Worse still, she'd made sure to publicly name us, turning her post into a call for others to validate her outrage. The comments were a mix of support from her close friends and confusion from others who had seen Felicity's act and thought it was amazing. Of course, the wedding had hundreds of guests, and not all of them were online, but enough jumped in to express shock or ask questions. A few wrote things like, "But didn't you ask her to perform?" Or, "I thought that was planned." Still, Cassandra doubled down, replying, "Absolutely not. I was manipulated into letting her do it last minute. It was supposed to be discreet, but she turned it into a showboating fiasco." Felicity, seeing the commotion, locked herself in her room. She felt betrayed, humiliated, and confused. "Mom, she literally asked me to do it," she cried, tears in her eyes. "We have the texts to prove it." Indeed, we had a thread of messages from Cassandra praising Felicity's costume choice, suggesting what music to use, going over length and timing. The evidence couldn't have been clearer that this was all planned in advance. At first, I tried to be the bigger person. I sent Cassandra a direct message, carefully written, "I'm hurt and confused by what you posted. Felicity has the text messages where you asked her to perform. We did everything with your approval. We'd appreciate if you would clarify this misunderstanding." It sat unread for hours. The next day, Cassandra posted again, doubling down. "I'd rather not be harassed by the same people who ruined my wedding. Some people have no shame." Our extended family began to notice. Cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone started forming opinions. I found myself in a bizarre position. Half the family believed I was in the right, citing that they'd seen Cassandra praise Felicity at the wedding. The other half was either neutral or simply believed Cassandra's outlandish claims that Felicity had blindsided her. One would think that might blow over quickly, but Cassandra escalated. She started a private Facebook group, ironically named Protecting Our Special Days, where she posted about how to prevent spotlight stealers from hijacking important life events. She invoked Felicity's name constantly, painting her as a cunning manipulator. She insinuated that maybe Felicity used the wedding as a stepping stone for a professional audition, an absolutely false notion. She even posted vile insinuations that my daughter had a crush on Noah and wanted to draw his attention. I was disgusted. The day after those posts went up, a third wave of family drama rolled in. My phone rang off the hook with relatives calling to ask what on earth was going on. Felicity was inconsolable. She couldn't understand how someone who had seemed so supportive could turn so viciously in the blink of an eye. I considered litigation in a moment of extreme anger. Defamation, libel, my mind swirled with the possibilities. But realistically, who wants to go through all that over a social media post? It felt petty, and I wasn't sure there was even a strong case unless Cassandra's lies caused financial harm. But I couldn't let this go unanswered. The more Cassandra posted, the more brazen she became, rewriting history to position herself as the helpless bride who'd been upstaged by my narcissistic cousin's daughter. I admit, I fantasized about some direct revenge, but I wasn't sure how to approach it without lowering myself to the same vile tactics. Then, as I was helping Felicity compile evidence to defend herself, we discovered something shocking. Buried in the wedding footage was a behind-the-scenes video captured by the wedding videographer who had filmed a short sequence of Cassandra explicitly instructing Felicity on how to time her entrance. We saw Cassandra on camera saying, "I want you to come in right after our first dance, so the crowd is excited but it won't feel like we're overshadowed. This will be perfect." She even gave Felicity a friendly pat on the shoulder and ended with, "I can't wait to see you perform. It'll be such a highlight." The videographer, a friend of Uncle Robert, had sent me a link to preview the raw footage, including candid clips. That single clip was my smoking gun. Fueled by this discovery, I decided to fight back, but not rashly. I didn't want to post a single screenshot and engage in a petty back and forth. I wanted something more conclusive and, in a way, more final. Felicity, in tears, told me, "I just want people to know the truth. I don't care if they hate me, but I want them to see she's lying." My maternal instincts flared. My daughter was hurting, and I refused to let Cassandra's false narrative stand. We devised a plan to make a short, concise video compilation. In it, we would include the text exchanges, the snippet of Cassandra hugging Felicity right after the performance, and the behind-the-scenes clip of her giving Felicity instructions. Then I'd post it publicly, tagging Cassandra, if only to set the record straight once and for all. It took me a full day to edit everything together. I included timestamps, spelled out the entire timeline, and made sure to keep it factual without stooping to insults. I wrote a brief introduction stating, "Due to recent allegations and misunderstandings, this video is intended to clarify Felicity's role in Cassandra's wedding. We did not want to share private messages, but we feel it's necessary to protect Felicity's reputation." When I finally hit post, my heart pounded. Within minutes, the views climbed. Comments poured in, many from family members who'd originally stayed neutral, exclaiming they hadn't realized how thoroughly Cassandra had approved of the performance. People expressed outrage at the blatant lies she'd posted. Some apologized to Felicity. My phone buzzed incessantly, but for the first time in days, it was messages of support. Cassandra stayed silent for about 18 hours. Normally, she would have responded with a scathing reply, but not this time. The next morning, however, she posted a half-hearted rebuttal. Sometimes a bride says yes to something small and it snowballs out of control. That doesn't mean I wanted to be overshadowed or that I'm lying. We're all human, we all make mistakes, and I'm sorry people can't see that I was just trying to preserve my special day. The comments on her post were mostly critical, demanding that she acknowledge her lies. A few friends blindly supported her, but it was clear the tide had turned. My extended family now had undeniable proof that Cassandra had orchestrated the entire performance. As for her private group, she locked it and changed the name. Her fiancé, well, now her husband, remained quiet. I never heard a single complaint from Noah's side, leading me to suspect he might have been mortified by her behavior. But in a sense, I wanted more than just a public clearing of Felicity's name. Cassandra had tried to tarnish my daughter's reputation, had tried to humiliate her, and showed no remorse beyond a pathetic attempt at damage control. If anything, her actions had escalated until they blew up in her face. Now she was dealing with the consequences. I might have let it go at that point, content that the truth was out. But then, a week later, Felicity got a direct message from Cassandra that threw me into a rage. In it, Cassandra berated her for daring to share private messages and threatened, "If you don't take that post down, I'll make sure everyone knows you used my wedding to fish for professional connections. Mark my words, I'll ruin any future you think you have in aerial performance." That was the final straw. I refused to let my daughter's future be threatened. I had enough extended connections in the local performing arts scene to squash Cassandra's attempt at sabotage, but I also wanted to ensure Cassandra wouldn't strike again. My choice was subtle but powerful. I reached out to one of my longtime friends, Jen, who happened to be the co-director of a well-known philanthropic arts gala in our city. Each year, they hosted a high-profile performance event to raise money for youth arts programs. I'd never asked Jen for any favors, but this time, I explained the situation. She was appalled. She offered Felicity a spot in the upcoming fundraiser gala, an event that was set to attract a wide array of professionals, local politicians, and media outlets. Felicity's performance there would not only boost her artistic resume, it would also be a glaring statement. Cassandra could not bury or tarnish my daughter's talent, no matter how hard she tried. When news of Felicity's upcoming performance started circulating on social media, Cassandra had another meltdown, posting something along the lines of, "It must be nice to have a mother who manipulates people into giving her daughter opportunities." But this time, very few people took the bait. Her credibility was shot. Word around the family was that Aunt Stella and Uncle Robert were furious at Cassandra, having reviewed the video proof themselves. They ordered her to stop the madness, reminding her that her new marriage should start on a foundation of truth. She barely listened, continuing to lash out at random times on social media, but it only made her look more unstable. In the meantime, Felicity's heartbreak turned into determination. She devoted herself to perfecting the routine she planned to perform at the gala. She insisted on buying new silks with her own savings, vibrant burgundy ones that shimmered under stage lights. Every evening, she practiced new transitions, new contortions, wanting to make it her best show yet. I stood by her, ready to shield her from any more of Cassandra's venom. The fact that Cassandra was so fixated on humiliating Felicity only fueled my daughter's resolve. If Cassandra's vendetta was to ruin Felicity's future, Felicity would do the exact opposite. She'd build a stronger platform for herself. Revenge is often portrayed as an act of spiteful aggression, but sometimes it can be as simple as achieving the success your enemy tried to deny you. That's exactly what happened the night of the gala. The venue was an old theater downtown, renovated and outfitted with state-of-the-art lighting. Felicity performed second to last in a lineup that included ballet dancers, a violin virtuoso, and a modern dance troupe. When Felicity took the stage, the audience hushed. The opening chords of her music soared through the hall as she climbed the silk, winding it around her arms and waist. Then she performed a series of drops and inversions so breathtaking that people actually gasped. By the time she struck her final pose, the applause was thunderous. People rose to their feet in a standing ovation that lasted nearly a full minute. I cried tears of joy as I watched my daughter beam with triumphant pride. Backstage afterward, Felicity had a stream of well-wishers congratulating her, local arts directors, charity organizers, and a few minor celebrities. Several asked if she did professional gigs and whether they might book her for events. I saw her face light up, and the heartbreak Cassandra had inflicted finally dissipated into something else: confidence. She was forging her own destiny, and no petty social media drama could stand in her way. I'll be honest, part of me wondered if Cassandra would try to show up, cause a scene, or post some disparaging remarks online about the gala. She didn't. Instead, I heard through relatives that she'd apparently lamented that her own family had overshadowed her again, referencing the buzz around Felicity's performance. But at that point, few people paid any attention. Cassandra's attempts to shame Felicity had backfired. Family members who used to tolerate Cassandra's drama were finally fed up. Her meltdown at the wedding, her online slander, her refusal to own up to her lies, and her threat to sabotage Felicity's future had pushed everyone away. I didn't feel sorry for her anymore. She'd lost her right to any empathy the moment she threatened my child. 2 weeks later, Cassandra reached out to me with a text message. "Can we talk? Maybe we can both take down our posts and move on." Her request dripped with self-interest. She didn't apologize for threatening Felicity. She didn't apologize for lying. She just wanted to save face. I stared at the message for a full minute, my anger flaring again. But then I composed myself. I wrote back, "I'm not removing the truth to cover your lies. We will never forgive the vicious way you treated Felicity. If you'd like to acknowledge what you've done and post a genuine apology for your false statements, that's on you. But as far as we are concerned, you are no longer someone we wish to associate with." I hit send. I felt an instant rush of relief. I was done. Done playing the part of the accommodating cousin. Done enabling Cassandra's theatrics. And I wasn't worried about any more backlash. I knew the truth was already out there. The wedding fiasco was old news to the rest of the world, replaced by the next day's scandals. But for Felicity and me, that event would remain a defining moment, a test of our resilience against betrayal and public humiliation. We not only survived, we emerged stronger. Over time, I withdrew from most social events that included Cassandra. She tried to make amends in a half-baked way, sending me a long text about how she was pressured by jealous bridesmaids to make the post, how she felt overshadowed, how she didn't mean for it to blow up so badly. I never replied. I had nothing left to say. She'd shown me who she was, and I believed her. My mother disapproved of the schism, reminding me that family is family, but I calmly explained that being related by blood doesn't give someone a free pass to destroy your child's mental well-being. The rest of the family eventually accepted that Cassandra had gone too far and that I wasn't going to forgive her. Months later, Felicity's performance schedule increased. The gala had been a major success, and she received invitations to perform at college showcases, local festivals, even a small theatrical production that required an aerial act. She juggled these opportunities with high school, forging a promising path. One weekend, I spotted Cassandra's name in my social media feed, complaining about something unrelated, garnering minimal sympathy or attention. It was clear her influence had waned. She'd become something of an outcast, too proud to retract her lies, too stubborn to admit she'd orchestrated the fiasco all along. Still, ironically, she never fully disappeared from the fringes of my life. She'd pop up occasionally at extended family functions, lurking on the outskirts, offering a tight smile if we made eye contact. I never approached her, never gave her a chance to start a conversation. The few times she tried, I walked away. The day she threatened Felicity's future, she lost all my respect. I would not entertain the illusion that everything could be smoothed over. Felicity eventually graduated from high school. She auditioned for a prestigious performing arts college and was accepted with a partial scholarship. That same year, she was invited to be part of a summer tour for an up-and-coming Cirque-style troupe that performed in various cities across the country. She was over the moon, and so was I. Our entire family, including Aunt Margaret and Uncle Robert, congratulated her wholeheartedly. Cassandra was conspicuously silent, as if the mere mention of Felicity's success was an affront to her. I didn't care. My daughter was thriving, and that was enough of a victory. In the end, the wedding fiasco became just another family legend, one that older relatives caution younger ones about, a cautionary tale of how envy and pride can consume you. Whenever someone new hears the story, they ask me, "Why did she turn on you like that?" I can only shrug. Maybe she couldn't stand having anyone else receive praise at her wedding, even though she had asked for the performance in the first place. Maybe she was insecure, or maybe she was simply addicted to drama. Regardless, her motivations ceased to matter to me. What mattered was that she showed her true colors, and we responded with truth, resilience, and a measured counterstrike.